By far the biggest political news of the week has to be the appointment of Citizen News anchor and news director Kanze Dena as Deputy State House spokesperson. That appointment has taken everybody by surprise. In fact, believe it or not, many Kenyans are still in shock. And it's nothing to do with Kanze Dena. And it has everything to do with what is going on in State House. The first question on the minds of most Kenyans is what happens to Dennis Itumbi? Eh? We have always known, and he has never hesitated in reminding us, that he is the big man as far as the Presidential Strategic Communication Unit is concerned. So what happens to him? What happens to the 36 bloggers? Now, if you ask me, there are a lot of pertinent lessons for people to learn here. Because what is happening at State House is not musical chairs. It is in fact a very well thought out strategy with very clear objectives. Now I can already hear somebody asking me, Chris bwana, wacha kizungu mingi bwana. Is Itumbi sacked? Are the 36 bloggers sacked? Tell us bwana, wacha kizungu mingi. Tuliza ball bro. Nitawambia. Yeah, we're going to break it down very, very intensely. Yeah, get to the bottom of it so that we have a very clear understanding of what is going on here. And we're going to do that immediately after the short upcoming commercial break. You don't want to miss this, guys. Welcome back. Now, this is quite an explosive story, yeah, and there are a lot of juicy details which we're going to go into, yeah. For instance, did you know that Kanze Dena has attempted suicide 3 times? Yeah, she's confessed. She's been a victim of low self-esteem. But this very brave lady has overcome all that, okay? We'll go much deeper into that, yeah, later. But let's start at the beginning. What is going on in State House? Well, to answer that question in one sentence, what is going on is a man called Nzioka Waita, who is the President's Chief of Staff. Now, there's a lot of misunderstanding amongst Kenyans as to what a Chief of Staff does. Yeah? If you ask most Kenyans, they'll tell you, huyo ndo jamaa anasimamia jikoni huko State House, anasimamia wafanyikazi wa State House. Loosely translated, that means the man who is in charge of staff at State House, in charge of the cleaners, in charge of the kitchen, etc., etc. But this is not true. In fact, I'm going to shock you. The chief of staff is the president. The president does not cough without his chief of staff. He is in charge of everything and anything that has to do with the president. This is a person who smooths over, because the president can't be in two places at one time. So he's really the administrator for everything the president does. Make no mistake about it, this is a very powerful person. Indeed, my information has it that Bwana Waita has been the chief of staff. In fact, he was the chief of staff long before his official appointment. He has been doing this for some time. Now, to understand what is going on, we need to take a closer look at this man who coordinates everything that has to do with the president. Before Nzioka Waita joined State House, he was with Safaricom. And you'll be very surprised about this. Nzioka Waita joined Safaricom in a very humble position, as the legal officer in charge of site acquisition. You know, companies like Safaricom need those masts, and those masts have to be put somewhere. So a small site has to be hired or leased or whatever, This the guy who's in charge of all the legal paperwork and the legal arrangements for that. And then Bwana Waita quickly climbed up the ranks, and by the time he left Safaricom, he was on the letterhead. He was on the company letterhead. He was the head of corporate affairs. Now, this information tells you a lot about Bwana Waita. He's a very professional person, even before somebody tells you. This is not a man who does his things joakali. And this is why it was inevitable that there was bound to be a clash between himself and a man called Dennis Itumbi. According to my inside information, White has always complained that Bwana Itumbi is not professional, that he does not see what the 36 bloggers do, and what they deliver is not tangible at all. In fact, at one point, Bwana Waita fired Itumbi and his entire team. And in fact, there was a press release which was released to the media that Itumbi and company had been fired. This, I think, was 2-3 years ago. But Itumbi used his closeness to the president to be reinstated. So what ensued, or what has been going on, is a kind of power struggle as far as handling the president's communications is concerned. Because as chief of staff, Bwana Waita was also responsible for that. He is responsible for everything that has to do with the president. And I believe the feeling amongst Itumbi and his team was that Bwana Waita was encroaching into their territory. Bwana Waita's view was that Itumbi and company were doing much more damage to the president's image than any good. And I tend to side with Bwana Waita, and indeed I know many Kenyans will. Well, it seems professionalism has won the day, because last month we all heard that the 36 bloggers and Bwana Itumbi had been kicked out of State House. Itumbi, of course, strongly denied this, and he said he was still in charge, and he was still working, and he was still doing his job. But now, with the appointment of Kanze Dena, clearly the writing is on the wall. Now, there are conflicting reports. Some people say that the unit has been scaled down, and of course that means, if we understand English correctly, that quite a lot of people have lost their jobs, and only a few of the many have been retained. Bwana Waita himself, in response to questions, said that nobody has been sacked. But what has happened is that those who were there before will now have to report to the new appointee, which means that Kanze Dena is now Dennis Itumbi's boss, if Dennis Itumbi is still at working where he was working before. And indeed, I seem to have evidence that Bwana Itumbi is still involved in some digital work on behalf of State House. Because we have seen on this channel and from our own research that there's been a recent upsurge of the 36 bloggers, and a re-emergence. They're back with a vengeance, polluting social media with their poison. Now, what we need to take very careful note of is that Kanze Dena has been appointed to a post that did not exist before. Yes, there was no deputy State House spokesperson, but now there is. And it seems that this is part of a reorganization that will very much impact the 36 bloggers and Bwana Dennis Itumbi. Indeed, If you read her job description, clearly she's in charge of everything that has to do with the president's image. And this will definitely encroach on what Bwana Itumbi has been doing. Now I have to drink some water to digest that. Kanze Dena, Dennis Itumbi's boss? Wow. Let me drink that water. Folks, as people from my mother's tribe normally say, vindu vichenjanga. And I must add, in politics, it is very normal. It is normal, vindu kuchenjanga. Loosely translated, the only thing which is a constant in politics is change, constant change. For instance, if Chris Kumekucha is appointed tomorrow as head of the President's Strategic Communication Unit, I will not start changing the way I walk. I will not be arrogant, rubbishing everybody around me and trying to tell people that they're nothing, that I'm much more intelligent than them, that I'm smarter than them, that they don't know what they're doing. Folks, always remember that when you're climbing the ladder of success, do not step on people's heads, because you will need those people when you're climbing down. Because climbing down, you surely will, because when you climb up a ladder, you're not going to stay in that ladder up there forever. There'll come a time when you'll have to climb back down. Now, this is especially true in politics. If you're appointed to any post politically, this is especially true. In serving the people, always remain humble. Always. In serving a country, even if you're doing so in the most twisted way, a very twisted way which I will never understand, still the advice applies. Remain humble. Now, what I gather from all this is that Itumbi and a small team will remain very much in place. But if they want to be successful at doing propaganda jobs, they will have to vanish, because propaganda does not work when those spreading it are so visible arrogantly all over the place. That is my humble view, and I could be wrong, but I suspect I'm not. Now, let's talk about the president's image. Image is everything, but in politics, image is the only thing. There are members of parliament who have done nothing. They have just gone to parliament to eat taxpayers' money, to enjoy taxpayers' money, and the perks that go with being a member of parliament. But they're still very popular. Their constituents love them. Their constituents are satisfied with them. And it all has to do with image. The other extreme is members of parliament who have worked very hard. They have gone out of the way, they have spent their own money, they have done a lot of things. However, their image has done them in, and the constituents hate them. The constituents can't wait for an opportunity to vote them out. In politics, image is the only thing. It is so vital, it is so important. And so it is safe to assume that this massive reorganization of the President's Strategic Communication Unit has to do with his legacy, his image as he exits the office in 2022. And especially if the Kaputin plan goes ahead, it is important that the president has an excellent image, in the eyes of the public, in the eyes of voters, in the eyes of his supporters. Now, there's no doubt that Kanze Dena and our close associate and partner, Lulu Hassan, are the sweethearts of Kiswahili television in Kenya. Citizen TV has gained huge viewership. Their news in Kiswahili is very popular in the country and well beyond. All because of the personality and the lovability of these two people, Kanze Dena and Lulu Hassan. Kenyans just love these ladies. Make no mistake about it. And so, it is easy to imagine the impact, that is going to be there with Kanze Dena speaking on behalf of the President of the Republic of Kenya, as opposed to a character like Dennis Itumbi speaking on behalf of the President on social media, like in his tweets. I'm sure you can see the huge contrast, because I appreciate the fact that we are not all communication experts. We don't all have degrees in communications and public relations. And therefore, I wanted to simplify it like that so that we all understand very clearly what's going on here. Now, the story of Kanze Dena is absolutely fascinating. Okay? I mean, apart from what I mentioned earlier on, this is quite a Kenyan lady. And she has quite a story to tell about her life. Yeah? And in the next episode of this series, we're going to dig deep into that. And I can assure you there are a lot of shocks on the way for you. Okay? So make sure you don't miss it. You know the usual drill. Look out for that link on the top left-hand corner of your screen. And as soon as that video is ready, you'll be able to click and go right through to it. Make sure you don't miss it. See you there in a bit. This is Chris Kumekucha.